Yeah,
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica Kretschmer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Woman of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast, where we are interviewing women of inspiration who are leading by example and inspiring others in their networks, communities, and their workplaces. So today is a very special guest. I have with me Tara Wilson. She is the Senior Vice President of Income Access. So welcome, Tara. You and I met a couple years ago, and it has been an absolute joy. I'm in awe of your leadership. I'm in awe of everything that your company is doing. The bigger your company is, the harder it is to do, but that doesn't stop you guys from just innovating and leading like you do. So this is going to be a great interview. I'm super excited to dive in because it's timely. I think for those that are leading through crisis right now, and for those employees that are making shifts and changes, your story is pretty incredible. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. And just to echo your words, it's been amazing getting to know you over the last couple of years, and so happy to be part of this wonderful network.
Fantastic. So let's dive right in. One of the questions when we see women succeeding in their careers, and certainly in executive roles like yourself, they always want to know, how did she do that? So maybe you can start with, you have a career journey. Maybe you can start us from the beginning. And my first question is, did you always have a vision for the role that you're in right now?
The answer is no. I didn't always have that vision. It kind of grew as I grew. I started in data entry at a payment processing company in Montreal. That's kind of the first introduction to the space that I'm in now. And I just tried to take every opportunity that I had to sit in as many seats as possible. I decided that I was going to approach it like, taking classes in school. As many topics as I can learn, I felt would only get me to a better place, to a better understanding of the methodology of the company, the importance of the company, and just the foundation of what was important. So I started in data entry and then had an opportunity to go to customer service and technical support. And at one point in time, I was building terminal files, something I never thought that I would ever do. And I just sat in as many seats. And then once I did that, and started to learn and, grow inside the business, I started getting offered, bigger roles, manager roles, director roles. And I stayed at that company for over 13 years. And then it kind of felt that it was time for me to move on. And I had the opportunity to join PaySafe in 2015 as a VP. So that was a big step for me. It was really exciting, and stayed at, I'm still at PaySafe and moved to a new division of PaySafe Group, which is called Income Access. Grew from VP to SVP and general manager. I have that title as well in a very short period of time. So I guess what my advice would be is learn as much as you can, take the opportunity, every opportunity that comes your way. And when you ask me if I knew that I wanted to be this, this person, an executive, growing up in some of the different businesses and that I did, there wasn't a lot of female leadership. I didn't see other women executives. So it was hard to aspire to be someone like that when I didn't have that in front of me. I was very lucky through my journey that I met a consultant, a woman who was a CEO of a payments company, and she really took me under her wing, and she was someone that I could model myself after. She was an advocate for me. She was a supporter for me. And that started to give me the idea that I could do more and I could grow further. And that's one of the reasons why I joined PaySafe, was because it was an executive position that was available that I knew that I could really excel at.
Very cool. So does this woman have a name? Can we do a shout out to her?
Her name is Susan Horn. I still speak with her on occasion. She actually wrote one of my nomination letters. And then I do really want to give a shout out to another gentleman. His name is Damian Tannenbaum. He was my SVP of operations, growing up as well. I like to say when I was growing up, and he was really great. He taught me a lot of the foundations of operations, and that's a big sweet spot for me. I love operations. I'm a nerd. I geek out with processes and procedures and documentation and all of that good stuff. So I feel like those were two really big advocates, while I grew throughout my career.
Very exciting. Well, I love the shout outs. I think it's really important to acknowledge those that support you on your journey, because of course we don't do it alone. And that's another thing too that's so super critical. As you're sitting there, ask for help.
Yes, you have to ask for help. And I think the temperature of the world today, it's easier to ask for help than it was, 10 years ago when I was growing up through the ranks. You have to find advocates for your success. It's so important. I mentor over 20 people right now, not on a daily basis, of course. Some I talk to once every 3 months, some I talk to weekly, some are bi-weekly. And what I tell them all the time, I'm an advocate for them. Anytime I mentor anyone, I'm an advocate. But if you don't have someone to mentor you, find someone to support you. You don't necessarily have to find, someone that's above you in their career. You can find just a partner, someone that you can bounce ideas with, a trusted individual, a colleague, a coworker that is there to tell you the truth and to tell you, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. And of course, continuous learning is so important. Leadership, which I know we're going to talk about, is the most important thing to me that there is. And I'll shout out to Kim Scott, who wrote the book Radical Candor. It's one of the best leadership books I've ever read. So if you can't find a real life advocate, then find it in your readings, find it in your continuous learning.
That's a great suggestion. I think we should have her come speak. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. I would love to have her come speak.
Get on that.
Yes, she's really incredible. Wonderful.
So leadership. Now, I want to go back to, here's another really important thing is before we dive into where we are in our current economy and leadership state right now. As you're navigating your career through those leaps and bounds and next steps as you're taking them, has there ever been a time that you're like, that the imposter syndrome we're all human.
Yeah.
This big leaps, it takes an abundance of confidence. How did you navigate through that?
It was very challenging for me. I did have imposter syndrome, and a lot of that I think had to do with the people that surrounded me. And like I said, the temperature's changing, things have changed, and I don't feel that all of it was malicious. But when you are sitting at a table with 10 men and you're the only woman that's sitting there, and they're making comments about how I'm lucky, I'm the only skirt sitting at the table and things like that, you start to think that that's true. Like, I'm lucky that I was invited to sit at the table, to talk about my other favorite, which is Cheryl, who wrote Lean In. I'm lucky, not I deserve it. I worked hard to sit at the table, to have a voice. It was, wow, they're taking pity on me. I guess I'm just I can't even go into all the things that you think in your head about not deserving to be where you are. So it took a long time for me to understand what imposter syndrome was. And it actually was the book Lean In that helped me digest what it was that I was feeling. And I didn't know that that there was others that felt that same thing. So to be really transparent, I don't think I felt like I deserved it until I came to PaySafe, until I was sitting in the room with 16, or I guess at that time, 14 years of subject matter expertise and making recommendations, and people sitting and stopping and listening to what I had to say and saying, that's a good idea. So one of the things I'll say is, when you grow up through the ranks, when you grow up, from data entry to whatever position, sometimes you're still seen as that data entry person that started years ago. So I'm not suggesting everyone should get up and leave their roles, but there does come a time where you have to make sure the leadership and the culture and the respect of your knowledge still fits in with the company that you're sitting at. So for me, my journey, it was time for me to move on. And once I moved on, the respect that I got because of the work that I put in was just apparent, and it started to give me that confidence that I was lacking in previously.
And one thing I think that's exceptional, great advice. And it's coming from another woman that has done that. So just gold. I just want to say it's gold, because you're right. You're not in it alone. We all feel these things. But one thing I'd like to stress, that starting at the bottom, you have the opportunity to learn every single role. And as a leader, understanding the challenges, the barriers, the obstacles, the task, the complexity, the mundane, the whatever it is, you got that. So I don't know that sitting at the table with all the suits, if you would have, like, I see you as a super great big value at that table, understanding every single part, because it is about the people.
Yeah. I was on the front line. So I have a connection with my front line. I understand what it's like to take a call and get screamed at for an hour. I understand what it's like to do data entry and to make a mistake and have to go back. I understand a lot of the challenges that my frontline faces, and I hope that makes me super relatable. And it also is part of my decision making whenever I'm doing anything inside of the business. I know how challenging it is to be, for a lack of a better term, an entry-level position, to be in an entry-level position and to want the opportunity to grow. So you're right. I didn't roll out of a fancy school and get a corner office immediately. I took every opportunity I could to learn, to build a foundation. And then, I do feel, and I know that I bring that value when I sit at the table and I have those conversations, because I'm not talking through somebody else, I'm talking through my own experience. And so that's one thing that I recommend to anybody that I talk to, that I mentor, that asks me for any kind of suggestions or opinions, is learn as much as you can. Take every opportunity that you can, as long as it feels good, but if you're scared that you're not going to know what you're doing, well, throw that aside. I'm going to give a little example. For me, I've been in the payment space. I had been in the payment space for 16 years, and I'm still part of that ecosystem. And the company came to me in 2017 and said, we have this affiliate marketing side of our business, this digital marketing that deals with gaming and casino and lottery and sports betting, everything. And we're looking for a general manager to run the whole division. And I said, cool, how can I help? And they're like, no, you mean you, we want you to do it. And I said, I have no experience with this at all. I've never run a product team. I've never run a project management team. You want finance to report into me? It was terrifying to me. And it took me probably over about two-ish to 3-ish months to make the decision, but I did it because my company decided that what they had seen from me was enough to know that even if I didn't have the specific expertise, I had enough of a foundation to be able to go in and affect change. And that was huge. And if you ever have a company that's saying, we're going to give you the chance to do this role, whether you know it or not, and they're going to stand behind you and support you, go for it. Go for it. Best decision I ever made. I miss my payments people. It had nothing, I loved who I was reporting to. It was it was gut wrenching. But I still have great connections with them, and I love who I report to now. And I say all the time, I have the best team at PaySafe because, I was given this opportunity, and we've all grown together, and they've been very patient with me.
And I think that's great advice for somebody looking up, making those decisions, but also for the CEOs of the companies trying to navigate. How can we actually provide opportunities? Hearing firsthand from the impact that it makes is super, super critical. And I know that our podcasts go out to everyone, So that is really important. Thank you so much for sharing, Tara. Now I want to switch gears slightly here, because you and I could talk all day. I just find it so interesting. I get so motivated and inspired by all of your wisdom that you're sharing. I want to talk about today. Today is April the 2nd. I seem to have lost track of time. Time stopped for like a moment around the world on March 11th, 2020, when the World Health Organization declared it a global pandemic. And you and I were both on a call for our monthly success calls with Universal Women's Network, with your team and leaders across Canada at the beginning of the month, as we normally do. And 11 days later, everything switched.
Yeah.
Like everything switched. And we actually just wrapped up our last call yesterday after 3 weeks between our calls, and globally, leadership, businesses, every single person on in the world is affected. So let's talk about that. Now, my first question to you is, how are you making out with this?
So personally, I'll talk personally. I am a extroverted person. I always say I get my powers from people. So it's been challenging personally, and I can talk about some of the things that we've done to try to soften the blow. So personally, the first week, hey, I'm good. I'm fine. I've got a good mentality. Week 2, I'm like, I had to go grocery shopping. I don't want to go outside of the house. Everything's really scary. And, now we're rolling into week 3 and I have a different mindset. We talked a little bit about this previously. It's changing the idea of being stuck at home to being safe at home. And when you change that mindset, it kind of changes your whole world around you. So as a business, I'm very, I'm going to be an advocate the whole time for PaySafe. As a business, we were ready for this. We have business continuity planning. We have disaster recovery planning. We've done this before. Just at the end of last year, we did a simulation where everyone got a text message and they were told to work from home, and we all, can log in remotely through our VPN, through our secure networks. And we were very successful. Did we find a couple of hiccups? Absolutely. We addressed them. We built the process. So when day 1 came of us having to stay at home, I'm proud to say out of my 100 employees, not one person had a technical issue. Not one person couldn't get connected. We were talking, we were successful. It was business as usual, just a little unusual, in our surroundings. So for us, we're still responding to our clients, whether we're sitting in an office or sitting at a dining room table, and that's really important. Business can continue. So from that side, we are extremely lucky, and I'm very grateful that we planned for the worst, because right now this is the worst. It's the worst case scenario. I think that I never thought I would be through something like this ever in my life. I never thought that this would be something that I would live through or go through, and I'm able to do my job successfully every single day. When it comes to engagement, that's very important. There are a lot of people who are by themselves. There are a lot of people who maybe don't have a pet or a significant other or a roommate. So they're really, really isolated. And what was important to us was making sure that people didn't feel alone. So some of the things that we're doing is, or something that I set up for the income access team, is mandatory video calls every single day. I want you to see every single employee every single day, even if it's just a 5-minute round table that everyone just hops on. I think it's so important to get that, interaction, that connection. We're doing a bunch of fun things. We're doing 5 à 7, which is, very, very Montreal, happy hours, little 5 to 7s, where it doesn't matter if you're drinking a glass of wine or carrot juice, you're getting on and you're cheersing each other. And we're doing, one of my team members, they do Pictionary. There's a lot of ways that we can make a scary situation less scary by just connecting and making sure that people are okay. one of the things I think that PaySafe is doing that's phenomenal is they're doing weekly surveys to check on the mental well-being of our staff. How are you feeling? Are you down? Are you sad? Here are the numbers you can call. We have tons of support through, we're a global company. So depending on where each individual is located, they can call in to talk to someone if they're feeling sad, if they need support, anything along those lines. So the other is communication. You have to over communicate in these periods because it can be scary if you feel like you don't know what's going on. Communication is already important enough when you're seeing someone face to face. What what I've said to the team is that water cooler talk, that when you're getting a coffee in the kitchen, it's gone now. So we need to replace it, and we have to replace it, and we have to make sure that we're keeping that engagement with our teams.
Amazing. And I think that what you've done right from the get-go is you've made people feel safe.
Yeah.
When everything's so uncertain, you provided them above all safety.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely necessary for stability to be there, right? Everything else feels like it's spiraling out of control. And I'm someone who doesn't have a lot of anxiety. Usually on a day-to-day basis, I handle stress really well. I think usually you have to when you're in positions of leadership. And this has been a stressful, anxiety-ridden time. And one of the things that I'm doing personally is I'm really working on my mindfulness. I'm trying to look at gratitude. Every single day, at the end of the day, right before I go to bed, I write 10 things down that I'm grateful for. That's something that I've never practiced before. And man, is it making a difference in just my mentality and being like, you know what? I have a house. I'm safe. I have money to be able to get my groceries. I'm very lucky. I have, someone who's in the home with me. I have my pets. I'm able to work. So, I think living in gratitude during these times is really important, and something that I'm just learning about myself that I didn't know how much I needed it until I was in this situation.
So now I think what's going to become a big topic that we haven't addressed enough is, how do you lead through a crisis?
So I can tell you a little bit about that, but we are planning to do a panel, Monica. I'm not sure if you're aware. Just kidding.
I'm so aware. I was just, just putting it out there that, let's talk about that great big topic.
Sure.
Even just a little teaser.
No problem. So the first teaser is we plan to do a panel. Monica and others and I plan to do a panel about a virtual panel, obviously, talking about leading during crisis. And I'm really looking forward to that and diving in, and hopefully anyone that sees this will join. It should be a great way for you to take other tools and hear kind of what all these different companies are doing. For us, leading in crisis, to me, the most important thing is keeping your teams engaged. And I just touched on it a little bit. We are in a situation where we have clients. We want our clients to not have any disruption. We know that economically, this is a challenging time across the board. I mentioned that we do a lot with sports betting. There are no sports. So that is a big challenge. How do we help support our clients during this time? We're having lots of conversations. We're available for them. We're talking about ways that we can support them. And on the other end, we deal a lot with online gaming, casino games. That obviously is going up because people aren't watching sports and they don't have a lot to do. So there's a lot more people playing card games at home. So all that to say, outside of the business and making sure that our clients feel that engagement is making sure that our staff is still engaged. And that comes through all the things that we talked about: being connected, having a workstation, being able to be successful in their day-to-day activities, still having conversations with their staff, their one-on-ones with their leaders, and just being part of a community. Community is so important during times of crisis. We are here. We are leaning on each other. You need help, we will help you. Anyone that has any concerns about symptoms, if they feel like they're getting sick, there's numbers for them to call. We've set up, our HR team has been phenomenal. They just have all the support they could ever need. And that, again, it's just community. I can't say it enough.
So to be continued, stay tuned for the leadership panel that we're building. The date will come out. And if you are a leader of an organization, you're a manager, you're an executive, you are definitely going to want to be on this call. So I look forward to sharing the news once we get the details worked out with our dates, and we'll be splashing it out. Because I think that now more than ever, leadership, if you're a leader, you're going to rise through this time, and you speak so confidently, Tara, that it makes everybody else around you confident in what their role is. And I think that's such a great example of leadership. So I want to ask you, has this global pandemic, almost elevated your how would we say, your leadership already in the short period of time? Have you already stood up straight or knew how important your role was? Not that it was important before, but it was it's super important right now.
I had a different sense of ownership, I think. The way that I, that first week that we worked from home, that first week where it really landed, we knew it was getting bad, but that week when they said, stay home, our company said, stay home. And then, I think within a couple of days, the rest of the province said, stay home. I just had a different sense of ownership and making sure that my people were okay. That I always try holistically to have a good culture inside of the business, right? We do a lot of different, we have a social committee and we try to have fun, and, we try to engage with our staff. But it's just different. I just felt a different type of responsibility for every single body that worked for me and works with me, and trying to make sure that everyone was okay. So yes, it's just changed the way I think now. I don't think just about, we get caught in a trap where, look, we try very hard to have great culture, but there is a bottom line that we focus on. And what was great is PaySafe helped us recognize that the bottom line in this situation was the safety of our people and making sure they were okay. It wasn't necessarily conversations about, hey, what are your targets? Hey, what's your revenue? What's going on? What's happening with the clients? It's, is your staff safe? Do they need help? Can we do anything to help them? If they have any problems at all, talk to HR. So the answer is yes. The way I look at leadership was different. I've managed remote teams before. I managed a BPO in the Philippines. I had a large group of people there, but it was different. I had lots of knowledge on how to manage remotely, but in a different sense, because I wasn't remote when I was managing them remotely. I had support in the office while I still had, another large group of people somewhere else, and they had support in the office. So it's definitely been, it's been very interesting times, unprecedented times, and a lot of us are learning as we go. It just changes your perspective on life, on life in general. Work and personal.
And I love all of these things that we're talking about, how the bottom line is the people. That is so powerful. And like I've said many, many times, that PaySafe Income Access leads by example in D&I. So let's talk about the very obvious. Well, the bottom line is the people, and we're really focusing on the people. Business, the initiatives, the projects. I know I'm looking out 7 years, sorry, rewind. I'm looking out 7 months from this point, because that's our next opportunity to recognize all the heroes, the heroines, the leaders, the women of inspiration, the SupportHERs, the front lines. Like, I'm building the other side of this that we're going through right now. So how important is it to keep moving forward?
Very important. If we look at, I'm no expert, but logistically, if you look at, you know, China and Italy, and you're watching what's happening there, this is going to end. We are going to be able to get through this. There are going to be vaccines created. There's going to be treatments that are used. There's this great group called on Instagram. It's the Happy Broadcast, and they're specifically talking about all the great things that are happening inside of this pandemic and crisis that we're going through. And I pay attention a lot to that. And you know, they talk a lot about that. We are going to get through this. And you know, the best thing we can do is understand the impact now, plan if the impact is going to, you know, we're planning in kind of 3-month intervals. We're looking at it. We're hoping that in a 3-month period of time, what are things going to look like, and what's going to be important at that time for us to continue and to focus on. So we're not stopping. We're not giving up. We're going to continue to put our, you know, keep our foot on the gas. And, you know, for us, we know this will end, and we know that our business will bounce back, and we know that we have the right people sitting in the right seats to get us, you know, to where we need to be as fast as possible. So I feel strongly that you can't give up on those types of things. And that you know, you just have to keep looking forward and talking about the great things that you want to do. You're going to have concessions. One thing that we do inside of Income Access is we travel a lot to conferences. We get a lot of our face-to-face and our introductions through conferences. So, you know, we have to find new, unique ways to engage business. The thing with Income Access is we're the #1 provider in our space. So we still have people coming to us and wanting to work with us, and knowing that because of our stability, because of being around for 17 years, you know, this doesn't phase us. You know, it's a hiccup. It's a drop in the bucket, as they say, and we'll continue to survive. So we're still planning ahead. We still believe that we're going to hit our targets this year. We're still going to work our butts off to be a success story. And I truly believe that we can be, and we will be.
Amazing. I love the drive. I love how we're connected, the Universal Women's Network, to PaySafe and Income Access. Couldn't be prouder of that corporate partnership that we have, because your leaders really align with everything that we do as far as our values and what we believe in. Right? It's so important to pick those right partners. So super excited to have that. I also, before we sort of wrap up this amazing interview, and of course this will be part 1, because part 2 will be our leadership panel, Leading in Crisis. I want to talk about, it's the Woman of Inspiration podcast. Now, what I thought was really important, and to the point of inspiring stories and people right now, I truly believe that the adversity that we face in our lives are just baby steps to help us out and through these times like we're experiencing right now. So tell us about a time, Tara, of adversity that you draw on to get you through. Have you ever had that going, you know, this has prepared me for something like this?
You know what, I would say every single time that I have failed, I try to take it as a lesson and as an opportunity. I didn't, you know, that took me a long time. I shouldn't say, you know, when I first started out that's how I looked at failure, or not hitting my targets, or not hitting my goals, or my objectives. But at some point in time over the last, I would say 5 to 6 years, what I realize is every adversity that we face is an opportunity to learn from and to do it better next time, or do it the same way, but, you know, magnified by 10. You know, there's too many examples to give. I think that just as individuals, anytime that we face a challenge, that we should try to change our mindset and say, I'm going through this because it's going to make me better in the long run. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be smarter. I'm going to be a subject matter expert. I'm going to be able to put it on my CV, my resume, whether you're planning to go anywhere or not. Just having that knowledge and that strength, knowing that you can get through anything, it just raises the bar, and it raises the bar across the board. My leadership team through this time is so impressive to me. I'm learning from them just as much as I hope they're learning from me. We're all facing this challenge together. And you know, I'm going to be able to say in 5 or 10 years, hey, I know what it's like when you have to work from home. I know what this situation feels like. There's going to be people that I'm going to be able to explain this to. And from this adversity, from this crisis, you know, we'll find better ways to do it next time.
Amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking this time on this Thursday morning. And, you know, from Montreal, I'm in Calgary, and I love the fact that we're able to connect and have deep, meaningful conversations that are valuable learning, and share your leadership. So thank you so much for joining us. Is there any words of wisdom that you would love to leave the listeners and the viewers with this morning, Tara?
Sure. I think that everyone needs to have faith and have hope, whatever that means to you. There's nothing false about hope. We will all get through this. We all will be better because of it. And there's tragedies happening, and we need to take this seriously. And you know, my heart goes out to anyone that's in the situation, that's on the front line. I have friends that are working at hospitals, you know, and they're concerned that they're going to bring this home to their family every day. There's a lot of unsung heroes here, and there's a lot of very unfortunate life that is going to be lost. And those that are, I guess, lucky enough to be able to survive this, I hope, you know, is able to bring it forward and pay it forward for all those individuals that can't, and you know, respect those that are on the front lines.
Thank you. That was beautifully said. Thank you, Tara. It was an absolute pleasure. Today it was speaking with Tara Wilson, the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Income Access. This is the Woman of Inspiration podcast. I look forward to sharing more tips and interviewing more amazing women of inspiration. If you are looking for more information about Income Access, Tara, how can we get a hold of you?
Sure. Please find me on LinkedIn. That's the best way. It's Tara, Tara Wilson, Wilson. And as Monica mentioned, I'm in Montreal, so that should be able to help you find me very easily. And Monica, just a quick thank you to you for everything that you're doing. You're helping continue to share the knowledge, and continuous learning is so important. And anyone that knows you loves you. And thanks for continuing to inspire all the women that you're calling inspirational.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's definitely been something I'm very passionate about, and especially in this time, I'm really determined to share the inspiring stories. So thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe. And I look forward to our leadership panel coming up shortly. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you.